We're back, brothers and sisters. We're here. We're live. We're in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street. Call somebody. Tell them the action is on the air on WLIB 1190 AM. And we're streaming to you at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. I'd like you to get on your feet right now for the president and founder of the National Action Network, who is celebrating his birthday, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
When do we want it?
Now!
When do we want it?
Now!
Hug the person next to you, tell them you love them. Make much sense. There should be a law again. So anyone who takes offense at a day of your celebration, he stands for justice and peace. Stands for truth and see. He'll never walk alone. Reverend Sharpton stands strong. Happy birthday to you. Come on, happy birthday. Sing it again. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Oh, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy, we love you, Reverend Sharpton. Thank you for all you do. Happy birthday. Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Thank you. Give a hand to our musical director, Ravon Neal. Give him a big hand. Give him a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be here another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally. For you that are here live at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the village of Harlem, and you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York, and you that are watching live stream around the nation on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We're happy to be with you another Saturday morning where the action is. Give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Hart. Let me thank all of you that have wished me a happy birthday, and all that have done this really have no idea how much it means to me and to the struggle that it continues to inspire me to try and continue to serve in. On night before last, Thursday night, the New Jersey chapters, 15 chapters, New Jersey branch under Chairman Jefferson, but organized by the director in New Jersey, Steffi Bartley, had a birthday event in Newark that was really heartwarming, from the mayor to president of the city council and then on and on. So it's been a great season of birthday. On Monday is my actual birthday, and I will be 62 years old on Monday. And I was looking at the calendar, and on next Thursday, Reverend Joe Lowry, who was the chairman of the board of Southern Christian Leadership Conference when I was youth director in New York, he will be 95 on Thursday. And next Saturday, a week from today on October 8th, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who mentored me, will be 75. So I told the Lowry family, the Jackson family, I want to be part of their birthdays so I can still feel young. I might be 62, but I'm not 75 or 95. And I see all of our young guys, all of our youth leaders are doing so, younger leaders are doing so well. And Reverend McCall and Reverend Foy here and Stephen Marshall and on around, and I'm gonna talk about that, but and I see Kirsten borrowed Don King's jacket this morning. Only in America. But on my actual birthday, usually folk take you out. Well, I'm gonna take all of y'all out. Because Monday night, October 3rd, there will be a screening for us at the Magic Johnson Theater of the story of Nat Turner called A Birth of a Nation. This will be on my actual birthday, Monday night at 5:30. You must be seated by 6:30. And Nate Parker, the star, and some of the cast is gonna come. And on my birthday, we're gonna watch this movie. It doesn't even come out the next Friday. But they're gonna do a screening on next Monday night, and it's free. Just sign up, you and Radioland. We're gonna cut the list off once it reaches the maximum. So you can call now, 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, or you can stop at the counter and say, I want to go with Rev Mal to the Magic Johnson Theater on his birthday to see this new movie, Birth of a Nation, that's not even coming out until next Friday. And I want all of y'all to see this movie. I want to see it. I've not seen it, but this is the Sundance Film Festival had it as the #1 rated film, which is why a lot of us felt they went and started all this controversy with the star. And I'm not getting into the controversy. I'm saying the movie is more important than the actors. The story is what we're going to see. And some of the artists are going to be there, and I couldn't think of a better way to spend my actual birthday than looking at some of our history on the screen, because some of our young folk, some of our children don't know anything about our history, recent or years ago or past history. So I want everybody to, again, people are at the phone now, 1-877-626-4651. Call and say, I want to be on the list. We're going to start a list. When we get to 200, we cut it off, because we're not going to tell you got a seat and the seats are gone. So I want everybody to call in, you that are here at the House of Justice. If you've not signed in, sign in at the counter. As I said, I want to wish this week also happy birthday to Reverend Lowry Thursday and Reverend Jesse Jackson next Saturday. Also today, so I don't feel too young, but today is the birthday of Jennifer Jones Austin, Reverend Jones's daughter. And we want to wish her a happy birthday. She's much younger than me, so I guess I'll say I'm middle-aged. Don't say a word, Kirsten, because you got on Don King's jacket or bedspread, I don't know what it is. Somewhere in between. Tomorrow night, let me start with during the day tomorrow. First, let me also say before I go into tomorrow night, this afternoon, we're very proud that our crisis director, Reverend Kevin McCall, is going to be installed at the Triumph, the Church of the New Age. And he will be installed at 3 o'clock this afternoon at Triumph the Church at 950 Bergen Street in Newark. And I'm going to give the message and install one of my proteges and sons in the movement, Reverend Kevin McCall. Give him a hand. Now I asked when I was over there the other night for the branch's birthday salute, that I asked Reverend Bartley, did McCall get his permission to pastor in Newark? They said they don't have a passport for him yet, so we got to see Bishop Daughtry's here this morning, who's in charge of the diaspora passports. All over the world, he can get you in and out. So we're going to have to get, before I can install him, we're going to have to get him dispensation so he can get across that bridge. Christy is, well, I ain't going to get in there. I'll leave that alone. The press will have that all in paperback ways and upside down. Let me leave that alone. But give a hand and congratulations, Pastor. Then tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Eastern on MSNBC, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. Many of y'all saw on Viral this week a young 9-year-old sister in Charlotte went in front of the Charlotte City Council and said why they were marching. Well, she's among my guests I'm having on in the morning on my TV show, her and her mother. And I want you to watch and hear what she got to say. We asked her mother and they said, yes, they'll be on in the morning from Charlotte telling why she wanted to go at 9 years old and testify before the city council in Charlotte. And then tomorrow afternoon, before tomorrow at 11, I'll be speaking at United Palace on 175th and Broadway. I'll be there at the United Palace. Reverend Monk, Brother Deacon Monk yelled at that's Reverend Ike's old church. Yeah, well, I'll be there, me and Monk, at 11 o'clock tomorrow after we do the radio show. Right after Politics Nation goes off TV, I do an hour radio show on WBLS and then head up to 175th and Broadway. Tomorrow night, though, everybody, Lottie-Dottie and everybody, watch the Triumph Awards, National Action Network's Triumph Awards. It will be on TV1 at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. 7 o'clock on TV1. Spike Lee and Puffy Combs and Jermaine Dupri and Dionne Warwick and on and on and on. Nick Cannon, Fantasia sings, really tears it up. This award show started 7 years ago. And it was our dream to have an award show that would celebrate the trendsetters in the arts and entertainment, but that had done things in the community. And this is now the second year it'll be televised. We're having a watch party here at the House of Justice if you want to come see it here. If not, make sure you watch it at home tomorrow night. Very important that you watch the Triumph Award. And the mothers of the movement make a tribute there. Sabrina Fulton, the mother of Trayvon Martin, as well as the mother of Michael Brown and Ferguson, is also on there doing a tribute. Leslie McSpadden and our own sister Gwen Carr, who's here, the mother of Eric Garner, is on. So I want all of you to watch the show tomorrow night. One of the things that you do, I was reading in the New York Times this morning, Reverend Daughtry, that Harry Belafonte said that he's at the stage in his life where he reflects on the journey. And he's 89. I'm a lot younger than that, but I am also always reflective of the journey. If you look at life as a daily thing, rather than look at continuum of events in your life. You miss where God has brought you from and bringing you to.
That's right. That's right.
Because you're caught up being episodic rather than committed to a life that has meaning and purpose.
Yes, sir.
Most of us live daily rather than live journey. So there's no continuity between your birth and your death. I heard Lloyd Williams saying that we all born, we all die, and it's what we do in between, and that is a true statement. But what you do in between ought to have a continuing message of what your life meant and what it was all about. Because without that, your birth and your death will mean nothing to nobody. Everybody born, everybody died, but everybody doesn't have the same value. Because what they did between birth and death will determine their value. It's a shame when folk got to beg folk to come to the funerals. That's a sad thing when folk got to stand on the corner with flyers and beg folk to come in. You laid up in the funeral home. And they just want strangers to come and just walk by the body. Just, that's my cousin there, come on. Because ain't nobody done nothing to mourn. Hard to mourn folk gone when we didn't know you was here. You can't miss what wasn't present. So part of reflecting on life, you had to wait till your 60s. Part of reflecting at any age is what is the message of my journey. Not the mess, not the stuff you went through, but through all of that, what is the message of your journey? This week alone, as I was looking at what is going on around the country, I went on Tuesday to Tulsa, Oklahoma, to lead the march around the police killing of Terrence Crutcher. His brother and father and his twin sister came here Thursday before last, held a press conference. He had asked us to come. Bishop Albert Jameson heads the gospel music workshop, pastors in Brooklyn. He and I went, had the big rally for them on Tuesday night and led the march downtown Tulsa. They've charged a policewoman, but have not moved on the other police that was around it. She was arraigned yesterday. Her defense is a new one, Reverend Daughtry. She said she had temporary deafness. That's a new one. I hadn't heard that one. She said that because of all of the trauma, she didn't hear the officer next to her say, "I'm tasering him." That's her defense. And pled not guilty. At the same time, I'm in Tulsa. National Action Network Charlotte chapter is working on the case with those in Charlotte and convene a lot of the ministers and a lot of the community leaders and are working along with the protest movement there. At the same time, I turned on the television and saw in California our chapter leader in San Diego, Reverend Shane Harris, 23 years old, leading the fight for the family there in California, where Alfred Lango was shot by police and killed. I come back and went on my way to the birthday celebration in Newark. I went by the Riverside Church where Madam Kadiatu Diallo and the Diallo Foundation had an event. And Mayor David Dinkins, former mayor, stood up and told the story of how he went to jail with us around Diallo. In 1 week leading up, it gave me a reflection of my life's journey. Because from Diallo to raising a next generation of leaders to still on the front line in Tulsa tells a story that I can say that the issues of policing and racial profiling and voting rights and civil rights I've committed and done my whole life.
Yes, sir.
Now, in doing that, you learn life's lessons. And I had a meeting yesterday, young ministers from Stephen Green, who's the head of college and youth for the NAACP, came to see me. And I was telling him that one of the things you do in life is you learn. And don't be afraid to grow. A lot of us are afraid to grow and learn. And brag about, we do the things we did 40 years ago. If you think the same way you did 40 years ago, then you wasted 40 years of living. Amen. And if you that crazy, you ought not to brag and tell nobody. Somebody asks you, how you doing, man? You know me, I'm the same thing. Well, you ought not tell nobody. Every day you ought to try and learn and grow some more. And growing is not just reading stuff. Growing is reading life's rhythms. I watched Monday night the debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a classic example of a man that never grew out of his adolescent mentality. Here's a man born to relative wealth. Daddy put him in business. He expanded the business, but never got beyond playing the dozen. Playing the bully. Thin skin, take criticism. Here you are, one of the nominees of the two major parties in the wealthiest nation in the world. A billionaire according to you. And you come off that stage and argue all week about a sex tape and a Miss Universe contestant. You never got out to 6th grade. You still in the schoolyard in Queens. Out of all 90-minute debate, talk about everything from foreign affairs to domestic violence to the age of race, all of that. And the only thing that got to you was she brought up a Miss Universe contestant. Now, aside from the ridiculousness and the sexism of what he said, it shows a mentality of an immature, non-growing person. So one of the things I've learned in life is some things you just got to grow beyond and let go. I remember growing up, Reverend Daughtry would tell you, we get in the movement, we would get in these little disputes, and I'd call Reverend Daughtry many mornings, just venting about so-and-so said so-and-so about me. And let me tell you what I'm going to tell them. And we'd go to rallies, and rather than inform people, I'd spend half the rally answering somebody saying something about me that most folk in the rally didn't even know what they said. I remember when WLIB, which we on right now, used to have Mark Riley on in the morning and Gary Bird in the afternoon. I had to stop listening to it because if somebody called in and said something against me, I'd get out the car the next speech and cuss out the audience, mad about some anonymous person calling in. And Reverend Archie would be patient. And I'd vent, and I'd vent. And then over a period of time, he would calmly say, you got to get past that. Mrs. Coretta Scott King once said to me, Al, you can't be small and big at the same time. And the reason why most people can't lead big movements or do big things is they're too small to become big. Many of us have ambitions and dreams. If I went around this auditorium, if I talked to the people listening on radio, everybody could tell me what their dream would be. But the question that I would raise is, are you big enough to do the big dreams that you think of? Some of y'all can't achieve your dream because you're too small. And I learned that the more you grow, the bigger you got to become. If everything gets you off your point, then you're not mature enough to make your point. Well, we getting ready to fight about the Senate funding of Flint this week. I spent a lot of this week that they had the Senate and the House bill up about spending, closing the government. And I had Senator Peters on, and they said that they've got to include Flint in the bill, otherwise they're not going to take it up till they come back in November. And we spent a week on that. And they gave me a list of people that we need to call. And I said, all right, I look at the list. 3 of the congressmen were folk that I didn't like. But I've matured enough that sometimes you got to talk to folk you don't like to do what it is you about. So I'm telling this young brother Green that the first thing y'all got to learn as young leaders is y'all can't lead by who is in your crew. You got to lead by what we have to do. Well, you know, so-and-so said something about me, or so-and-so does something different than me, or so-and-so don't believe what I believe. No, let's start with what is the goal. And if the goal is established, then you want everybody, no matter whoever it is, if they're committed and needed to achieve the goal, you bring them in, because your life value will be determined by how many goals you achieve, not by how many enemies you punished. Nobody cares at the end of your life if you got even. They'll care if you won and achieved something.
That's all right.
I knew an entertainer. Got to be a star all over the world. Made big money. And we were in a certain town. I'm not talking about James Brown, so y'all can get that out here. And this guy was driving his brand new Cadillac. Back in them days, Cadillac was the biggest thing you could get. It's for, they had the Bentleys and the Rolls Royces in our neighborhood. And he had a brand new Cadillac. And he, Reverend Daughtry, had us searching, this before you had navigators, for this address, because he wanted to ride by this address in his brand new Fleetwood Brougham. And we finally found the address, and he rode down the street, and he rode back up the street. And then he parked and stood outside until a couple of kids recognized and signed the autograph. And then we finally got back in the car. And I said, well, we found the address. Why we ride them down the street and then you sign a couple of autographs, we gone? He said, girl that went to high school with me never give me a date. She live on this block. And I wanted to show her that I made it and she wouldn't give me a date. Star all over the world, all kind of women come to see you sing. But you never grew past some girl that you felt rejected you, who probably inside married, children, and ain't thinking about you out here with your Cadillac. Why am I going to this? Because some of us are stuck on stupid. If everything that is thrown at you, you react first personally, then it shows how immature you are. If the first thing out your mouth is your personal feelings, it shows your immaturity. These lessons I learned in my life. I talk to some folk that everything is I. You ever want to get a boring conversation? Talk to somebody that all they talk about is themselves. I did this, I did that. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? You hear I did this? You know I did that. You mean you missed this? I did this too. Then they got the Instagram now and the selfies, where I'm gonna take a picture of me waking up. I'm gonna take a picture of me cleaning my eyes out. This is me with the sleep out my eye. I brushed my teeth. I washed the brush. I is out of my mind. I mean, it's amazing. My daughter Ashley does all social media for me and got all these folk that I started following on Instagram. I had to tell her to take some of them off because I'm not interested in you washing your face in the morning. I don't need to see you sitting up on an airplane looking at the camera. A selfie of me on the plane, it don't give me no thrill. But anybody that is so engaged in self-absorption, it really has questions about themselves. If you got to talk about you all the time, it's because you really haven't embraced yourself. Small people talk about themselves. Big people talk about ideas and achievements. If your world ends around you, if your world never extends beyond your body, then you live in a fantasy world. The world is bigger than you. And if you can't deal beyond you, you will never affect the world. Social movement, this movement that we have been engaged in here, is not about I, it is about a bigger picture that defines I. Which is why the Bible says that he that loseth himself shall find himself. You can't embrace yourself until you get bigger than yourself. And your journey will be defined by what you do with yourself. What is the theme of your life? What is the message of your life? When I started, no one thought, I heard Bishop Figueroa talk about, no one thought that I had a contribution that I could make. But the issue was not what they thought. The issue is what I thought. If your life is based on others' evaluation of you, you will never amount to nothing. Your life must be based on what you think God put you here for. Reverend Al, give a hand out, Manhattan Borough President Brewer. Come on up, Gary. Glad to see her. Thank you for coming. First thing that I think you got to get past the eye, the other thing you got to go to is, what do you think the purpose God brought you in the world is for? I mean, now if I were to ask all of you what you've been through in life, anybody in here never had trouble in life? Raise your hand. Never had no trouble. Anybody in here never faced any trials in life? All right. So everybody but one guy ain't never had no trouble. And I'm going to see him after, because I'm going to give him some trouble today. Now, you can sit back and rehearse the trouble you've been through. But what I've learned in life is, rather than just rehearse what you've been through, is ask yourself, why did God bring me through? It must have been for a purpose. Well, my daddy did this, and my mama did that, and my cousin did that. Yet you got through that. Why? Do you think God just brought you through all of that? For you to just go to work, come home, eat, watch some nonsense on TV, go to sleep? That's why he delivered you? There must have been a high purpose. So he brought you through for what? I got out there in Newark the other day, somewhere we getting ready to open up a NAN Tech Academy for kids. Reverend Bodley, Brother Dardell and them, building up a whole tech academy, teach children technology. Same time, I'm out there listening to that. Michael Hardy's here doing legal night, where folk getting legal advice. Man had his sentence commuted that would have done 22 years, had already done 22 years, and would have done the rest of his life. In the audience, Kerry Weiss, who was in jail, did 15 years for a crime he didn't commit. All that I've been through is God brought me through so I could do some of that. I had no idea when we marched for Kerry Weiss and the Central Park 5 and Donald Trump bought full-page ads calling them names and demanding the death penalty, and said they were wilding and said they should be executed. And we went and marched on the Plaza Hotel, because he owned it there, and protested Trump. Little did I know that years later that DNA would free them and Donald Trump would be running for president and have to face me on national cable TV. He thought that we were just some troublemakers outside his palatial palace, but he can't get to the White House without walking through us. God had a plan. At the the House of Justice on Madison Avenue. Mayor Ed Koch, David Dinkins, Bill Lynch, bless his soul, brought the First Lady of the United States up the stairs saying she was going to run for the U.S. Senate and she wanted our support. And we put her on the stage to speak at King Day. I had no way of knowing. 16 years later, she called me to ask me, tomorrow I will be on Sunday mornings for a year, 5 years on MSNBC. This same First Lady that they had to come up the stairs called me and said, can I do your first TV show when you go on Sunday morning? As I'm running for president, God has a plan. I had no idea when I ran for president in 2004 that 4 years later a black man would be elected. And when they would tell him, stay away from race, that we were in a post-racial generation, he got on a plane and flew to New York and stood with the National Action Network and said that he was going to keep access in the White House for us. And the enemies that said I'd never be nothing complain about why does he have access to the White House? And why does he have a TV and radio show? I know why you're asking, because you thought I'd never be nothing. But there's a God that was bigger than my smallness. Life lessons. If you don't grow, you'll never get what's there for you. The best things that have happened in my life, as I look back over my life, is stuff that I didn't plan. It came out of things that were bigger than me, that I would never have expected. I didn't ask for an MSNBC show. I never planned. No civil rights leader ever had that. I didn't ask President Obama to keep the doors open as often as he did. I didn't ask for a lot of the things, the stars you see on Triumph Award. But God said, if you find yourself, you will lose it. But if you lose yourself for my sake, you will find it. I got more for you than you can imagine, because the vastness of God is beyond what you can conceive. I looked the other night, September 28th was my mother's birthday. She'd have been 91 years old, died 4 years ago. And I looked at the picture. It's a rough day for me. And I thought about Reverend Daughtry, how my mother, I never ever thought about it. I probably should have. As they were planning the party in Newark and planning the stuff over the weekend, and we had, when I turned 60, big thing at Four Seasons Restaurant. And I thought about, in all the years she lived, 87 years, my mother never had a birthday party. I remember we would get her cake, cut up the cake, and sing happy birthday, just family. By the time I got old enough to have earned enough money, we could have threw a party. She had Alzheimer's and dementia and moved back to Alabama. Wouldn't have known if we had it. And we go to nursing home and sing happy birthday. But she never had a birthday party. But she made sure her children would be raised with values. So when y'all have parties for me, you having parties for Ada S. and Sharpton. Because had she not been bigger than her smallness, I would have never done the things that I did. When I started preaching when I was 4 years old, Hazel Griffin was the lady that was over the usher board. Brought me to Bishop Washington. And Bishop Washington said, let him preach. Well, Bishop Washington never went to the White House. He was a bishop in the Church of God in Christ, had a lot of prestige, but never was a guest at the White House. But every time I pull up a seat at the White House, Bishop Washington is sitting in the White House. Because if he had said, no, don't let him preach, I might have never got there. What I'm trying to tell you is let go of your smallness and embrace the bigness that God has in store for you. He got more for you than you can ever give to yourself. And you don't have to become somebody else. One thing I like about God is he can use you just the way you are. Then you sing a song in church, just as I am. Well, a lot of y'all limit yourself because you talk yourself into your limitations rather than the vastness of your potential. I got a bad record. I had done bad things. If I do this, they're going to bring this out on me. I've done this, I've done that. Well, you did. And you got through it. And anytime they tell your story, they're only telling what you survived, which make you strong enough to go ahead and do great things because you got by the small things. Well, I've been to jail. Well, that means you can handle something that folk that didn't go to jail can't handle. Well, I had a drug addiction, and you got through it. Don't let nobody put you in a category. One of the things I reflect in my life is I was a category breaker. I was a boy preaching like an old man. Category breaker. We brought nonviolent civil disobedience in and started many of the things we fight now. We made popular. We made Trayvon a national issue. We helped to make Eric Gardner and Michael Brown national issue. We broke the trends. But we didn't break the trends to break the trends. We broke the trends and helped to break the trends, but it wasn't us by ourselves. But we took the front because we believed it was bigger than us. And we knew coming in that we'd be criticized. We knew coming in that they were going to castigate us. But when you're not fighting for yourself, you don't take the attacks personal because it's not you. It is bigger than you. And at the same time, you don't lose your authenticity. I remember, Lord, that there was something the other night about how we stay right at the House of Justice, right here on the ground where people have access to us. And I don't care what kind of prominence we get, we're going to stay right on the ground. Because there's got to be a place that people don't have to dress up and don't have to fit a certain profile and don't have a certain background, but just know if I'm in trouble, there's a house of justice. If I've been abused, there is a house of justice. If I want my children to grow up and see people of power having to be held accountable, there is a house of justice. Across this stage, we've seen mayors and governors and presidential candidates, but also victims. Across this stage, in the last quarter of a century, we brought them from Michael Jackson to Mrs. Diallo, from Winnie Mandela, and others of that international repute, to folk that nobody knew, but just needed some help. That is the journey God brought me on. And I wouldn't take nothing for my journey. I'm glad on my birthday weekend, I not only thank my friends, I'm glad for my daughters and glad for those that helped me, and I love Dominique and Ashley, and I love all my companions. I love those close up to me, Michael Hardy, and my little sister Rachel Nordlinger. But I also want to thank my enemies. Because every lie you told and every backstabbing you made just motivated me to show that there is a God that's stronger than you. I grew up a boy preacher. Some of the stuff I used to preach, I preached when I heard old preachers preach. I was up 5, 6, 7 years old, went on the road with Hay and Jackson at 9. And I remember I used to preach about God will bring you through trials and tribulations. But at 9 years old, I didn't know nothing about no trials and tribulations. What was it, to do my homework? But now at 62, when I talk about trials and tribulations, I can talk not what I heard some old preachers say, but I can think about how God brought me through many dangers, toils and snares. I have already come. I don't care who sang the song. I sing it for myself. The journey, your journey. Use the weekend, we're looking at my journey to think about your journey. What is the meaning of the journey? When it's over, what is the statement of your life? I read the papers every day. One of the things that a lot of folk, especially when you're young, you don't stop at the obituary page. But I read the obituary page now because I done got old enough to, I may know 1 or 2 folk on there. And when you get real old, you start hearing people say, oh, I didn't know they were dead. I used to laugh when old folks say that. But one of the things I notice about the obituary page is they sum up your life. I want y'all to get this at home now. The first 2 paragraphs of the obituary page, of your obituary, sums up what they got out of your journey. Blank died, who was an attorney in Manhattan that robbed all his clients. Blank died, who was a philanthropist that helped call. Whatever it is, and you should get up every day and think about what's going to be the first 2 paragraphs that are going to define my life. You need to understand every day you get up, you write your obituary. Did you hear so-and-so died? Who was they? Well, what are they going to answer when they ask who you were? Oh, you remember her? She was just the one who used to complain and keep mess going all the time. Oh, you remember him? He was the one that always would be criticizing and contradicting. What is going to be the first couple of paragraphs that summarizes your life? I want them to be able to say, oh, he was the one that stood up for justice. Amen. When others were silent, he would speak up. I want them to say he helped folk that nobody else would help. Even when they thought they were slicking me out of something, they didn't understand I was affirming that God blessed me so I could bless others. I want them to say he started with nothing, but God raised him up anyhow, and he never forgot. To God be the glory. I'm trying to write my story, so when you tell my story, you can't mess it up. Porter called me and said, on your birthday, as you reflect on life and things that you've done, said, would you, at the end of it all, how would you want it to all go down? I said, well, Reverend Daughtry tell you I come out of Brownsville and Brooklyn. Something about not losing your authenticity. And a preacher friend of mine sent me a sermon that Gardner Taylor preached that I never thought about. Even Jesus, I want y'all to get this, I'm on. At the end of his journey, and they got ready to crucify him, because Jesus requested that they bring him his clothes. He didn't want to die in Pilate's gowns. Why bring you your clothes, Jesus? I want them to see a carpenter's boy out of Nazareth go up Mount Calvary. Because I'm getting ready to split history in half between AD and BC. And I don't want them to think no royal garments define me. Bring me my clothes. Because when I rise again, I want everybody that was nothing and nobody to know the majesty of God is not limited to the levels of stature of men. Bring me my clothes. So when they tell you about my rough upbringing or controversial past, that's what I want to wear, because I want young folk to know life doesn't have to be no crystal stair. It could be nails and broke boards. It could be problems all the way. But know that God will make a way out of no way. And there's no low depth you are that God can't pull you up. Know that life's journey is defined by your capacity to be big enough for God to invest in you. And I want to be so big that he can give me more than you could imagine. Some of y'all too small to get big gifts. Not on my birthday and his sister Aisha Shakur's birthday and his Dr. Marcus Bright's birthday. All of us got different journeys. Come on the same day, different years, but we will be as big as our capacity to think. And I think that when God put the sun in the sky and gave me a few years to watch sunrise, that the God that was big enough to light eternity was big enough to take a ghetto boy to make a contribution to shape the United States. I don't believe in a little God. I believe in a big God that'll take nothing and make something. You serve a little God, but I serve a big God. Big enough to heal my wounds. Big enough to dry tears from my eyes. I serve a big God. A God that is big enough to heal me when I'm sick and put food on the table. I don't believe God put grain and put vegetables and fruit in the ground and can't put it on my table. I serve a big God. I don't believe that there's a God that can give the discovery of medicine but would leave me sick. I serve a big God. I serve a God big enough to raise the poor into a livable wage. You got a small God that think that ain't in the budget, but I serve a God that'll make budgets bound. I serve a big God. He walks with me. He talks with me. For 62 years he tells me if nobody else wanted me that I'm his own. I'm glad he walked with me. Daddy left, but he never left me. And if you think of a big God, you can do big things. Let's walk out of here today thinking big, acting big, doing big. This is an age of bigness. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Singing like you mean it. Singing like you mean it. open the doors of the movement. There may be someone here today, hears us on the radio every Saturday, sees our activities on the news, but never became a member of National Action Network. If you're here today and never joined, couldn't be a better day to join than on my birthday weekend. All you have to do is come down to me, either aisle, just come straight to me and let me sign you up to the National Action Network. Come on, everybody sing it. Come on. Everybody.